most important thing to do when you're flipping a house is consider all of the factors. And here's a prime example. So this house was brought to me by an agent before they actually listed it on the market for, I think, like 70K, and I needed to buy it for like 60K for it to make sense, right? And I'll do a breakdown of what ended up happening. So the house ended up going to market, and someone paid like 86 for it, which is crazy. Maybe that's not the exact numbers. Maybe he brought it to me at like 75 and I needed to pay 65, whatever the numbers were, right? So anyway, I figured it was probably someone flipping it or someone that was going to live in it. It looks like it was someone flipping it because now the house is back on the market and it's listed for in the 150s, I think, 150 range. So here's the first problem. We sold a house on the opposite street of that same house, same size, same everything. Ours is actually nicer because it was bigger, had a bigger garage, whatever, that doesn't matter. Newer roof, all stuff. And we only got like 135 for it. And ours was completely redone, granite, just gorgeous house. So their selling price of 155 is reaching, right? We thought the house was probably worth like 140 or one whatever, right? So always know that your comps, don't try to be the highest comp. Don't try to be the next highest comp because you might get it in this day and age, but you might not. So don't run your numbers like that to justify overpaying for something. So if you were to do the numbers, right, this house at 155, if you take out your commissions, and this is like the most important thing that people always overlook, is your closing cost and your commission to real estate agents, right? Even if you are a real estate agent and you're like, well, I'm flipping the house, so it's just a cherry on top of the cake. It's not. Being an agent sucks. You got to deal with another agent, you got to deal with another buyer, you got to deal with a whole bunch of other shit. So you should be getting paid for it, right? Don't do it for free. Just because you don't take a commission, yeah, it is a cherry on top when the numbers work, and then you get the cherry on top. But if you're using that to make the numbers work, it's not a very good deal, right? So in this example, just rough numbers, like 12 grand out of like 155, so we're at like 142-ish, 143. So let's say that you put into the house, I don't know, 30, 40K, right? So I had to go through, paint it. They redid the kitchen, redid the bathroom, floors, and I'm not sure if they did any HVAC work or anything else, but there was a bunch of exterior work. I think they did some siding work. So let's just say they somewhere between 30 to 40K. So if they end up selling the house at 155, they can make 26 to 16 if they spent 20 to 30 on it. And they probably did because there's appliances in the kitchen, the bathrooms, and everything's really nice. So they probably spent every bit of that, anywhere from 30 to 40K on that flip, right? So is 26K to 16K good profit? I'd say 26 is, right? 16 probably not so much, right? Risk versus reward. But here's the problem. I don't think the house will sell for that 155. The house has actually been up for sale for already like 3 to 4 weeks, right? So it's priced way too high. Oops, sorry. It's priced way too high. If they sell it for, I don't know, take 10K under that, and they did pay for 40K for the rehab, well, then they made like, I don't know, 6 grand, maybe, right? So, and to kind of go along with everything else, there's other factors to keep in, right? So let's just say that your rehab cost was just 30K, but let's say that you have hard money, or you got another investor that's borrowing you that money and you got to give them like 8 to 10%, right? So your profit margin is pretty much non-existent. Plus, if you spent, the way I look at it is, if you spent, let's say you're doing the flip, right? And you only make 6K on it, which, maybe to some people that sounds like really good, or 16K or whatever, but the amount of time that goes into making sure that contractor's here, making sure that contractor's there, going to Home Depot a million different times, doing this, doing that. I guarantee you, if you calculate out your time, it's not a very good hourly rate is what I'm trying to get at, right? This does take a lot of time to, do and do right. But anyway, the point of this video is ideally don't buy something. I personally think the house is probably worth $140K. So if it's worth $140 and they put $40K in rehab, they're going to essentially break even on the deal, which it might be worth to some people to keep their guys working, but I know there's still deals out there where you don't have to do that. So why do it, right? Risk at that point, never mind. So anyway, always, it's just important to know your numbers, right? Just know what your purchase price is and what you're selling it for, right? And know how much you're going to put into it, right? 30 to 40K, yeah, 10K is a big range, but you never know. You might find something in the basement where you got a foundation issue. You might find some crazy stuff that you didn't intend, and things can get expensive real fast, right? So know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, ask someone that does know their numbers. And always, always, always don't forget to take into consideration your closing costs and your realtor fees, right? Realtor fees, you got selling your buyer's agent, that's usually 6%. And closing, I don't know, I usually just run it at another like 2.5, whatever, right? So I usually just take 8% out of whatever the selling price is with what you end up netting after your seller's price, right? So know your numbers, always and always. Make sure you're not overpaying for stuff just because you've been looking for a deal forever. I know how it goes, but be patient and those deals will come. So if you have any questions on how to run numbers or how to figure anything like that out, feel free to reach out to me. Be glad to help out any way I can. Have a good one.